Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of GameCamp webinar. Let's invite our speakers and our guests. Today, the session will be focused on founders. So let's invite Mladen, who works with gaming for a long time and has really deep knowledge around it and works a lot with gaming and app customers, companies, especially in the Adriatic region.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. So Marius, you did the intro, so I'll just basically stick to that one. Looking forward to it.
Hello. And then let's invite our main speaker, like the founder who founded the very interesting gaming company. And he will share his story and experience, how actually he how he grew that business.
Hello, happy to be here.
So he will share his story just in a few minutes. And then if we go further, just a quick summary of the last year in terms of those webinars. Thank you for being with us. We had 13 webinars already with more than 20 countries in terms of the attendance, almost 2,000 people who took part in the different webinars. So I really hope that you will come and actually be present on the another editions as well. So thank you for being part of our gaming and apps community. And then please remember that if you would like to be up to date on all information around the future webinars and activities, you can just sign up for the newsletter, and then you will get the up-to-date information about the upcoming events and webinars on that newsletter. Just go to address and then just sign up once, and then you will get info about all future activities right away. And of course, as always, we encourage you really to add questions via Slido. So at first we'll have the Łukasz presentation, but then we will have the Q&A part, and I think it's a really good occasion and to ask the question from his experience, from his view, to get really first-hand view and opinion about what it means to really to grow gaming company. So just go to the slide and then add GameCamp as the name of that specific event, and then you can go to the place where you can actually add the questions for the webinar. And if we go further, let's invite our speaker, Łukasz. Please actually share your story and experience with your company.
Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Łukasz Oktaba, founder of Chess and Checkers. We are based in Warsaw, Poland, and this game camp is about creating the business. And most difficult to create a business is to start. The same is with the presentation, so I will just skip to another slide. Oh, it wasn't so difficult. We have started. The same was 5 years ago when I started with my first game. I created my first game, Checkers, because I wanted to have my own product, my own game. And I didn't feel any fear to do this, to publish the game, to get negative feedback, because I didn't have any expectation. So I couldn't lose. And to having this initiative to start to do something, to create something, is very important in the business, because you have to start first, because the life is too short to do what you don't like to do. And I created the game. I was working after hours. It was just my hobby. So during the weekends, and I risked only my free time. And in 2015, I finally, at the end, I quit the job, and for the next 2 years, I was creating the game alone at home. I was earning money from the game. I started to understand how mediation works. I started to do first campaign. I was doing user acquisition, but I couldn't grow. The company like one person couldn't create more games, couldn't grow. So finally, I decided that I need to create a team to start with another project. And the company was created for this particular project, to create the chess game. And this presentation will be about solving problems, because having a company is a process of solving the problems. They always appear bigger and bigger, but we have just to find the solution and don't repeat our mistakes again. And the problems appear newer and even bigger, but we are more experienced. Yes, we have more knowledge, but we have to solve them to grow the company. And in this presentation, I will tell how we created the chess game, how the company was built based on that project, and how we solved our problems in the company. So first, if you think about the company, you have a lot of people inside, you have dedicated people for different things, and it is easy. It's just going, you have everything done. But when you are alone, you have to do everything by yourself. So, as I said, it is difficult to start, to find the first people that will risk to join you. And I was looking for correct people quite a lot of time. I had the problems to create a startup because this risk was too big for many people, even my friends from school and from the university, from my previous job, because they have stable job, they have some credits and duties. They didn't want to build a startup with me. But finally, I found correct people that wanted to create chess with me. I was doing recruitment in the restaurant because I didn't have an office at that moment even. And we started. In the team of the 5 people, we started to create a first game, chess. And the goal was clear. We have 1 year to create the game. We just like to replicate the success. We had 1 game, checkers, in the store that was earning money, and we wanted to have the second game. Why chess? Because this is quite natural choice. This is the same category. This is also board game, very similar mechanic, and we just can replicate the game and do it even bigger. This was the assumption. Okay, we are doing the new game, but this game will be even bigger. And now in 3 minutes, in 3 slides, I will tell you how we developed chess for last 2 years. And then I will tell more about the problems that we solved inside the company. So we created. We had a second game. We published it. It was also written in Java because we were Java developers, and we started with our first game in the same technology. We published to Google Play. But then we realized that chess market is a little more crowded. We started with campaigns. We started to promote the game from the very beginning. But we had low LTV. We couldn't scale the project. If you look to the App Annie, to the board category in Russia, you can count more than 50 chess titles in top 300. So there is 1 of the 6 games are chess. And we wanted to create successful games, so be better than our competitors. So we have to do something better. Yes, so we changed the technology. The idea was create for both platforms and go to the Unity, so we can publish also to App Store. And also create the online version. And this online version, first what we did was by sending the link. So without any registration, people can just download the game and send the link to their friends. And if someone opened the link, can just enter the game and we are playing. But nothing happened. People didn't send the link, and hardly few open it. And at this moment, the company was 17 people, more or less. We spent $1 million on production, on acquisition, and we didn't have a success still. And it was quite frustrating moment because even in my team, people told me, okay, maybe so let's create something different. Maybe we can create another game. But I didn't change the goal. Yes, we'd like to have second successful game. We choose chess. We have to iterate the game until we will do this. And I'm happy because finally, after next iteration, half year later, we created a matchmaking system for our backend that allows people to play together with random people all over the world without registration. You can just choose the room and start play, and you will play with someone in the real time. And this was a successful release. Retention goes up over 40%, in some countries even up to 50%. The LTV was much bigger. We started to spend 6 times more on user acquisition, and it was still profitable with respect to the ROAS, and the game was able to scale. But we also changed the architecture in this new iteration. We wanted to create the global game, so we moved from real-time database to the cloud Firestore, and we survived Queen's Gambit. Even when at the end of the last year, there was a lot of users. We had a lot of daily active users and many matches. We didn't have any problem with the infrastructure, and even a small company created the product for many users. And what we have learned during this journey of building company, because it was from 1 to 20 people. And the first thing what I realized was the workflow. We started with creating the features, just choosing the best one, what we think is correct. And we are doing then another feature, but another feature maybe we can create a little better or bigger, and we are extending those features in the time. So developing time was longer because we wanted to improve the feature, we want it better. And so something that should take 2 weeks took us 1 month, for instance. And finally, we go to another feature, and it was like walking in the circle. So the development time was too long. But last year, we took part in Accelerator Program for startups from Middle East, from European Eastern Europe, Google Accelerator Program. And we learned about OKR, Objective Key Results. The methodology of setting the goals, our objectives. Then we have to think how we measure that objective. When we will know that we are finished, how we satisfy our goal. And this is limited in the time. We are working now in a quarterly plan that we create the objective. Then we are setting the red line that we know directly that we approach that objective or not. And finally, at the end, we creating the brainstorm. Which features should we create to be closer to satisfy that objective? And we started to go just forward. We skipped unnecessary features. We just skipped unnecessary development, but we were doing that what's matter. And we really, in the whole company, increased the speed of development, and moreover, people understand what we are doing. because we have tasks, of course, but now people understand not only what we are doing, but also why we are doing that. And this, I can give you an example. For instance, we can create the objective like, we'd like to increase rewarded video in chess game. So this is our objective. And our key results will be, right now we have something around 20% of daily active users who are watching rewarded video. And we improve that results and have 5% more. So 25% of daily active users should watch rewarded video. So now we are focused only on the features that will bring us to that result. Yes, so we are doing maybe daily reward, maybe some promotions, and maybe some discount for rewarded video that people can get more coins. But we are going in one direction. And first quarter, it didn't work so good. Second, it was more or less quite good. And finally, after introducing that methodology, in the third quarter, everything was perfect. And we are happy, and this helped us a lot. Another thing that improved development was introducing continuous integration and continuous deployment. Because I started the company when I was alone, and I had, one computer, one repository, there is no conflict. But if more people came to the company and we changed the technology to Unity, the process of building the game was much longer. And the problem was with testing, because more people in the company wanted to check the game, test the game. And we chose some solutions out of the box from the market, but they took too much time. And we created our own solution to deliver the game to our testers and to the whole company. We started, when you commit something to the repository, builder creates the build in the real time, and developer get the notification on Slack about it is successful or it is not with the failure. And the changes are distributed to the testers and are available for their devices in less than 30 minutes after the commit. So we improved the speed of development and the workflow, investing in the infrastructure, that we are proud of that. And we also can deliver the build to the Google Play and App Store from automatically. So we can't make any mistake because it goes from the production branch. And this solution improved the infrastructure. After people are coming to the company, and there are more people and more people, we finally introduce the structure, because before everyone knew who is doing what. But when 20th person, Alicia, came to the company, she didn't know who is responsible for what. So we started to, we created the structure. This is a very common flat structure with some departments. We were from the very beginning doing everything in the mobile gaming. So we started with not only development, but also monetization, acquisition, ACO. And what we introduced and what I'd like to share with you is that in our company, each person belongs to two teams. So one, we have our primary role, and we can attend to other team if we'd like to learn in different direction. So if someone works as a developer, can join monetization team and grow in that direction. This helps us because on one meeting, we have people from different departments, and if we decide something to do on acquisition team, for instance, we are going for some market, there are also a person from monetization team that can say, okay, I will check the waterfall, what we can do for that market. There is a person from ACO. Okay, I will check the conversion, organic conversion in the store. Maybe we can improve something. And the information is spread very quickly in the company, what we are doing. And this also gives us very positive effects. This is not a picture. This is a promotion graphic done by our tester. It was his first job. He wanted to be a graphic designer, but we didn't look for a graphic designer. He came by recommendation, and he wanted to be a graphic designer. So he was learning. And in the last 1 year, he rendered chessboard, chess figures, and created this amazing promotion graphic for our LinkedIn. And it means for me that he's no longer a tester. He became a graphic designer in our company. But if you give a chance to people, this is like in the chess game. You can go to the end of the board. This is difficult, but then there is a promotion. And this slide is more about me. People to grow, company to grow, founder must share his own duties with the team. At the very beginning, I was programming because we didn't have many programmers. But when the company was growing and growing, I couldn't took part in everyday life of the company. So I started to share my duties. It was programming. I stopped doing. I stopped doing more so much in monetization team. And founders should delegate his responsibility and think more about the company. Even if you like be a programmer, because I like it, I have to think what is better for the company rather than what I'd like to do. Because with great power comes a great responsibility. And for me, public presentations are very stressful. But I thought, okay, this is the opportunity for the company, promotion. So, okay, let's do it. I have to do it. So right now I'm delegating the everything what I can to the people. And I'm thinking about how to grow the company, how to create the organization, and how to improve the organization. We started from the very beginning with user acquisition, and it was a very simple approach. Okay, we want to be present all over the world, yes, and we started with one campaign for one country. We didn't have any attribution tools, so we just calculate revenue in the real time. How much we are spending for a given market and how much we are earning. And it was working. Okay, it was simple approach, but it was working. The more we were earning, the more we started to spend. But about user acquisition, maybe there are different presentations and more technical. I just like to mention how we create the budget. Because I never saw that before on GameCamp, so I'd like to present how we create the budget for user acquisition in our company. So all the revenue that we earn in 1 month, it could be January, from ads and from in-app purchase, we receive on the bank account, so at the end of the next month, so in February. And at the end of the February, we also know more or less all the costs of the company for the next month. And that's how we created the budget. So first, we have to pay the bills. Yes, this is our duty. Then we assume that, okay, this is 10% is a profit of the company. So the money that we should keep for the further investment. Yes, maybe some recruitment, maybe some chances for bigger acquisition, maybe create new offices. So 10% is the profit, but everything that left goes for user acquisition. And this is around 40 up to 60%, even if there is occasion. Right now we are working with ROAS and we've attributed to, so okay, we don't want to spend too much. This is not obligatory, yes, to spend all the budget. But if we are earning, we can spend like that. So we created the first game, and I took the risk. It was only my free time, because I sacrificed, for instance, my free time, and I took the risk to create my first game, Checkers. And company to grow must take more risk. So creating the next game, I took more risk, because I risked not only my free time but also the money. So it was more risk, but also this was a similar category, a similar game, so the risk wasn't so big, yes. But right now in the company, if we have 2 profitable games, I think we can take more risk to go further. But how big the risk should be to not fail is open question. Yes, and this is very individual. This is what we are thinking about right now. How big project we can create, but we should always take the risk to go forward. And car needs petrol. Yes, to drive you need a petrol. If you want to drive faster, you need more petrol. So the same is with the company. Company needs money to exist, but to go further needs more money. And we, as a company, this year started to invest money to the developers, as I was 3 years ago, without infrastructure, without knowledge, and we just give such developers who are doing own games after hours a chance to create own game, create own company. And we started to invest money because I'd like to help such people in the situation that I was before. This picture I took when we released the matchmaking system for our chess online. We were working remotely, but some of us came to the company to celebrate that moment. And I took picture for the memories. After next 2 years or maybe 3 years, I will come back to this picture and I can say, that's how it started. This is the end of presentation, but not the end of chess project. Thank you. If you have any question, you can always write me an email after the presentation.
Thank you, Łukasz. Thank you for the great presentation. Everyone, of course, I really encourage you to add the questions at Slido, because then I think it's it's good. It's really good time to add the question to Łukasz. I will maybe start from the first one that I saw. Actually, what actually made you decide to move from the solo developer approach to create a company? Yes. So what was kind of the trigger? Was there anything that really kind of moved you to the direction, or it was just happened and?
Okay, so I had one game and I wanted to grow. I wanted to compete with other companies, and with one game, with one person, you cannot compete with other bigger teams. Yes, so you also have to have one team at least. Yes, you need to have more games. So I wanted to create the second game to be more present on board category.
Okay, unmuting myself. The second question is pretty much connected to the question that I actually wanted to ask as well. Is so how do you basically differentiate your chess app with all the other chess apps on the Play Store and App Store, because it is quite a standardized game. So like, what makes your chess app kind of stick out as a better one, and how do you approach the process of understanding that there needs to be something that is going to make your app looking better than the other ones for the game that is pretty much standardized?
Okay. Good question, difficult one, but the same. I was thinking about it. My life. The same is with the cars. Yes, why you should create another company with the cars when other cars are available on the market? Yes, are many companies with many types of cars, and everyone can choose what he or she wants to have. And our game maybe not is very different than other, but maybe is more user friendly. People play it.
So like, even following on that question, yeah. So how you are trying to add new features, how you try to understand the user needs, how to actually you are trying to make that product better and better.
Okay, so everything what we are doing for the user. Yes, user is most important, and we are reading the comments. We are doing the A/B tests. We are testing the game. We are creating for them new content, and we are just checking if this is the direction or not. If this brings us more users, if this increase the retention. If the retention is better, means people are more happy and want to play the game more often. Yes, so we are just checking the data. If data are better, when we increase our LTV, our retention, we are improving the game based on our data.
So maybe another follow-up question on that question from my end, and sorry if you're going too deep into it, but you said like you're looking at the metrics such as retention and basically how the user reacts. But when you're making changes in a certain parts of the games, how do you go about testing those parts of the games so you understand that those are the ones that are actually driving the retention in the right direction? And sorry if it's a little bit too detailed, but I hope the question is in place.
Okay. Details are good. So we created some features in a few versions, and we can create the A/B tests based on Firebase A/B test system. Then we can compare the retention, compare the events, which feature is used more often. For instance, we can create the chess boards with different graphics, with different design, and we observe that one chess board is 6 times more likely bought in the store than other. And we are just sending the events from the game, and then we have our own dashboards, also created custom dashboards, because we are using Firebase, yes, the funnels inside, but also we are creating our own dashboard in Data Studio to understand a little better in more detail some stuff.
That's great. I think that answer is pretty much valuable for all the developers. Basically, this A/B testing has proven, and from my experience as well, to be one of the good features. Basically, to understand if you're moving the needle in the right direction, monetization and retention wise. Anyways, moving to the next question from the board, and then I'll leave it to Mariusz to ask the next one. So this one is UA related. So basically, which is the UA channel? Which UA channel is the most successful for your chess game?
Okay. I started to use Google Ads by myself, and this was a very simple approach. Yes, I was starting to create the campaigns for installs for one market, and I was calculating the revenue in the real time. But then our user acquisition team is one of the biggest team in the company, and we started to use different ads UI sources, and now we are doing a lot of campaigns on Facebook, AAA and other, but I'm not doing that. So this is not my stuff, but I'm aware that we have the budget for Google Ads, for Facebook, and also for Apple Search Ads, because we have the game now finally in the App Store, and we do acquisition there as well. But what I can mention that our user acquisition manager Nicole told me that she is going to test Unity and Uplovin next month.
Okay. But which channel is the biggest one?
Google Ads.
Okay. And if you can actually, can you share maybe what is the share of the ads versus the in-app purchases for your games?
Mm-hmm. And this is exactly our objective for this quarter and next quarter. We started to work on in-app purchase. We started to do promotions because this ratio is for me not equal. Yes, we have something like 85, 90 to 10. Yes, so we just wanted to change the balance and started to show less ads to the user. And then, but first we have to create the game with the content that people want to buy. So if person want to buy something, means the game is good. So I wanted that content. I wanted to pay for that. First, for me, the most significant was the score in the store. Yes, how people rate the game. And then I was looking for the retention. Okay, I have better retention. People are happy. They wanted to play the game. But now and the whole company, we are focused on in-app purchase. And I'd like to have something like between 50-50 or 60-40, achieve that goal.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll go with the next one. I know that you answered at a certain capacity already, but let's read it. So which analytical tools do you use to understand user behavior better?
Okay, so we use Firebase Analytics. We sent a lot of events and we created the funnels inside so we can see how people use the game. But for more details, we just created some dashboard based on BigQuery. But this is done by external company who are doing the analytics dashboards for us.
Cool. And just follow-up question from my end on this one and connected to the previous one. So basically, you're saying you're trying to balance between in-app purchases and ad monetization models. Like, how difficult it is basically to find that balance? Because like my understanding goes to like you either optimize the game for one or another, and does at some point one optimization of the app model kind of trumps the other one, in a sense of if you go more towards ad monetization, then it leaves you less room for in-app purchases and vice versa.
Perhaps yes. I don't know, but my approach is that we will be able to show less ads if we started to earn more from in-app purchase. If people want to buy something, they could buy, for instance, remove ads, and we couldn't sell that project without showing the ads. So first we will increase the in-app purchase, then we will be able to decrease the number of ads in the game. But with the ads, what we are doing right now is to move from interstitial rather to rewarded video. So ads are not so disturbing user, but he should be wanted to watch the ad, to be engaged in the game, to see the ad, to get some content for further playing. Yes, so less interstitial, maybe more rewarded video.
And if we continue that, actually there is, of course, a lot of discussion around like, is especially for like, smaller company, like, is the mobile game and mobile gaming good place to start with the development, or is it better to start with PC games? How do you see it? Like probably not, like I understand you haven't done like PC games, but you have a lot of probably discussions with the people on the market. Like, how do you see it?
I don't have much experience, but mobile gaming is easier to get on it, because creating the mobile game is easier and publishing the game is easier. But after, when you publish the game, you can collect the data and you can understand what is the problem, why people are playing or not playing, and you can improve the game. So you can do the iterations. And you can also publish the game on the very early stage. So even if the project is not finished, you can publish the game on one country, just have some users to test, 50 daily, it's okay, or 100 daily, just to have some data, and you can understand the retention, when people churn, on which level. So you can improve the game with analytics. And if you are doing the game for PC, it's much more effort, I think.
Should I go to the next one? So connected to the interstitial ads and monetization techniques. So when do you basically start to show interstitial ads? On what session?
Okay, so maybe I will tell how I started to show interstitial ads from the very beginning. Because I was afraid of showing ads to the user. I didn't want to hurt them. So I will start to show one ad after 10 minutes, and one ad at least, not frequently. But my session was around 6 minutes, and many users didn't see any ad. And I was moving it a little. So maybe 8 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes, and after one year, I started to show ads after each 90 seconds, something like that. But in the first session, we are also showing the ads, but not after first game. But after, I think, third game, we started to show ads. Then after another 3 games, and then after each single game.
So like what you are saying is that, like, the people should not really like be afraid of that monetization, as long as it's like really like, the game is good, and as long as you look at the data and you see what kind of influence it has on the user behavior and comments and so on.
I don't want to calculate how much money we lost when I wasn't showing ads to people, and I learned to show them. But yes, we started to show more ads, and we were doing tests for that, and the retention was the same. And this wasn't any problem for us with retention, and it's okay.
Thank you. And of course, like there are some questions around, the features in your game, like which ones do you see like, like important, like, how do you see like it's influencing the retention, like the rewards, or like, matching with the coins? If you could share like anything around that.
Okay, so doing features like some daily promotion or some sending notification, it can change the game 1% of daily retention or something like that. But when we introduced online game, it changed the retention by 10 percent points. So it was really game-changing feature that increased the retention. And other features were just around one point.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one in line, then, I assume. So how successful is the offer test playing on every chessboard even before they buy it?
Offer test.
I'm also not sure that I understood the question.
Okay, I see the question right now. This is very recent. I have no data about it.
And like, you know, if you can share, like, you know, beyond your like monetization strategy, like, you know, your ads revenue is coming mainly from rewarded, or like how does it look like?
Okay, so mainly it is interstitial, and this is around 55% of all revenue from ads. Then it is banner and rewarded video more or less equally right now, but in the company we are focused on rewarded video, because for me this is the first step to in a purchase. If person want to watch the video and spend their time for some content, maybe perhaps he also will be likely to buy something in the game.
I mean, Mariusz, do we have more time left? I do
Sure.
have a couple
go ahead.
that I want to ask. It's around the expansion and basically user acquisition. And I was trying to basically figure out, so how you said you want to be present globally, and that your campaigns are pretty much representing that. But how do you make decisions on what are the key markets for your apps? And how do you go about the strategy of entering different markets, at least with user acquisition? I assume you can publish on every single market. But what is the best indicator for you that basically, okay, this is the market you have to focus on user acquisition wise?
Okay, so we started with campaigns for those markets where we have some organic traffic. If people naturally use the game in given market, maybe it is because the game was translated for that market. Maybe it is more popular in that country, yes? So where we had a better organic conversion on the store, on those markets we started to do campaigns. But also when we didn't have very good organic traffic, we started to do campaigns with limited scale, just to improve and check what we can do. But we started with those countries which were natural for the users. They choose our campaigns.
Cool, thanks. And just a follow-up question on that one. Given that there's, at least if you're talking about the Google Ads and as a channel, there is a high demand for a game such as chess. But do you see a bigger part of your traffic on the paid going on search inventory, or is the video as a creative super important for you for a successful paid user acquisition on a channel such as Google Ads and then beyond as well?
Okay, so chess is a strong keyword, and if people want to play chess, they just type in the search chess, and text ads are mainly for us, and this is intentional. If someone is looking for chess and we presented him the ad, he has the intent to play that game, and those users are the best for us. But we are lucky that we have the keyword in the title that helps us in the acquisition.
And like there was like follow up on the question around like this, why actually in some way you are trying to like put more focus on in-app purchases versus on ads. It's like it's about user behavior and how do you say that actually exactly?
We could focus on in-app purchase because this is the intent of the user. It means for me, if someone wants to pay for something, he really like that. He needs that. So this means the game is good. And we are doing the game for the users. And we, of course, we need some money because we are self-founded company. So we have the choice. Either we will have money from ads or in-app purchase. And right now we have money from ads, and we'd like to create a game for people that will be likely to buy something without just showing them too much ads.
Okay, so you mean that you want to create such value that people actually are ready to buy, to pay for that?
Exactly.
Yes? I see.
The last one on the slide is asking basically how important is US as a market, I assume, for user acquisition for your game.
Okay, so for chess game, this is the biggest market, and we have the biggest revenue from in-app purchase, and we do biggest campaign for that market. Yes, this is everyone knows that this is a big market with good players.
Oh, actually, we see an additional question around subscription. That are you planning something like that, or like how do you see it for such games?
Subscription is okay. This is a big topic, but first we have to do the first step within a purchase. Then we can apply the subscription. And I think this is the correct step. Path, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it was really amazing session. Thank you, Łukasz. Thank you, Mladen. Thank you for everyone who was watching that. I hope to see at one of the next webinars. Please remember that you can go to the GameCamp website and see some next plans for the next webinars, and then some recordings from the previous ones. I really encourage you to check out that. Again, thank you again, Łukasz. Please remember our that newsletter. Again, you can just sign up once, and then you get information about all upcoming webinars to your mailbox. And with that, I would like to thank you again. On the YouTube video, on the chat, we have the link for the feedback. Please share us feedback with us. What we could improve, how you like such sessions, and I hope to see you again in one of the next webinars. Thank you.